The storm desk. Read the storm, book the roofs. The storm just hit. The whole town looks damaged. Your phone is lighting up. The hail map shows a fat red blob over your market, and you can't knock every door this week. So you stare at the swath, and you guess. By the end of this, you'll know how to read 2 different maps instead of 1. The map of where it hailed, and the map of the roofs that hail actually wore out. Those are not the same map. One just looks busy. The other one books jobs. I've watched crews burn a week on a swath and book nothing, because they treated the red blob like a verdict. Start with what a hail map actually is. It's a hail swath, the band of ground a storm dropped hail across. Most of what you're looking at is radar-estimated hail size. Mesh, a model's guess at the biggest stone aloft, not a measurement on your shingles. Same-day storm reports from the National Weather Service ride alongside it. Those are eyewitness calls. A stone sized against a coin, listed as is. Useful for timing and triage. Not proof. A hail map tells you where it hailed. It does not tell you which roofs it wore out. Here's the part the swath hides. A storm raises the odds of damage across a county. It never proves it on one roof. A forecast is odds, not damage. NOAA's own people say it plainly. Seasonal outlooks are always expressed as probabilities, no guarantees. So the red blob is a loaded die. It tells you the table got hotter. It does not tell you the dice already came up against a house in front of you. That's why 2 crews can work the same blob and get opposite weeks. So what decides which roofs wore out? 2 things the map can't see. First, the roof age band, a range for how old the roof is, not an exact year. Second, the impact, the stone size, and the angle it hit. A tired roof in its 3rd decade and a fresh roof can sit on the same street, under the same stone, and walk away completely different. Asphalt shingles broadly run 15 to 30 years, depending on type and install. A storm that merely ages a worn roof can wear it out. The same stone leaves a newer roof, cosmetically marked at most. Now define the damage the way an adjuster will. There are 2 kinds. Functional, which means a stone fractured the shingle mat or tore it, so the roof can't shed water the way it should. And cosmetic, which means it just looks bad. That line decides the dollars. The Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety has spent years firing lab hailstones at real shingles to draw it. They're finding granule loss alone is weak evidence. Granules scatter from hail of any size, from foot traffic, from plain age. A bruise that cracks the mat is the roof actually wearing out. Work the functional damage. Don't sell the dimples. Wind leaves its own fingerprints, and a wet pattern brings as much wind as hail. Wind damage to a shingle follows a sequence. The seal strip gives, the tab lifts, then it creases, tears, or blows off. A crease across a tab is mechanical evidence a wind event happened. Now the trap. Flex every tab on an old roof, and you'll crack brittle, heat-aged seals yourself. Then photograph wind damage you just made. A tab that never sealed is an install or an age story, not a storm. Separate the cause, because the adjuster will ask. Here's the move that turns the blob into a root. Don't knock the swath. Build a ladder of evidence, and only say what the rung supports. Rung 1 is the season, a climate signal. Rung 2 is the dated local storm record for that market. Rung 3 is a property symptom, like a homeowner's new ceiling stain. Rung 4 is the on-roof inspection. The storm chaser leaps from rung 1 straight to a sail. You're going to climb 1 rung at a time. Move as fast as the evidence lets you, and not 1 rung faster. Now overlay the 2 maps and watch the street sort itself. Pull the dated storm reports for the hit zip codes. That's the where it hailed layer. Then lay roof age bands over it. That's the which roofs are due layer. Where they overlap, an older roof on the storm-facing slope inside a real dated event, that's your route. Skip the 2-year-old roofs even though they sit dead center in the blob. The swath says everyone got hit. The overlay says start here. Same storm. Half the doors. Better odds on every knock. Why does age drive the money and not the forecast? Settlement math. Most policies pay one of 2 ways. Replacement cost pays what it costs today, no deduction for age. Actual cash value pays that minus depreciation. Asphalt shingles get depreciated on roughly a 20 to 25-year curve. So an 8-year-old roof and a 21-year-old roof can take identical hail and settle wildly apart because the older one has far more depreciation baked in. A storm doesn't change a depreciation schedule. Roof age does. That's the conversation an adjuster actually recognizes. Here's the line, and it is not subtle. Your job is to document what you see and write an estimate. The claim itself is not yours to run. The insurer decides coverage under the policy. The homeowner owns the claim, and the deductible is theirs to pay. The Texas Department of Insurance spells out what many states now enforce. A roofer cannot touch a homeowner's deductible and cannot act as a public adjuster on work they might do. The day you start negotiating coverage, you're an unlicensed public adjuster. Document, don't diagnose. That's the whole rule. Document it so it holds up. Shoot every condition at 3 distances. A wide shot to fix which slope and where. A medium shot of a test square so the density of marks reads. A close shot of the single finding with something for scale. Tag each photo to the slope and orientation, because the storm-facing side tells a different story than the sheltered side. For every mark, record the likely cause, storm, age, wear, install, or unknown, and whether it's functional or cosmetic. A packet that calls every dimple hail damage won't survive a competent adjuster. One that separates cause from age will. Keep the homeowner off the roof. Falls from roofs and ladders are a leading cause of construction deaths, and a homeowner has none of the gear. From the ground and from inside only. Look for missing shingles, dented gutters or vents, granules washed into the downspouts, and new ceiling stains. Then a qualified, insured pro climbs, and put this on the leave behind. A forecast or a storm report does not, by itself, prove a roof is damaged. An on-roof inspection does. That one line sounds like the contractor who's still there in 3 years. Your cheapest roofs in this swath aren't on the swath. They're in your old book. Every roofer has a file of past estimates that never closed, and customers whose roofs have quietly aged into the replacement window. A real storm just crossed those addresses. You already have the relationship and a roof age you can estimate. Re-engage them with a dated, honest reason to re-inspect, and you outwork cold canvassing for 0 ad spend. The roofs you sold years ago just aged into this storm. That's found money in your CRM. Here's where Roof Predict fits, and where it doesn't. It pairs an estimated roof age range with storm physics modeled per individual home, scoring which roofs a real storm most plausibly wore out, instead of flagging everything the storm passed over. In latter terms, it's a rung 1 and 2 targeting layer that points your inspection at the right houses. It does not inspect the roof, diagnose damage, or decide coverage. Roof age is a range for planning, not an exact date. The list starts the route. The on-roof look earns the sale. Close the loop. A hail map shows where it hailed. It doesn't show which roofs it wore out. Age plus impact angle decides that, so you work the due roofs, not the whole swath. A forecast is odds, never proof on one roof. Document what you see and write an estimate. The insurer decides coverage. The homeowner owns the claim. Overlay the 2 maps. Climb the ladder 1 rung at a time, and let the inspection do the talking. The chaser knocks the swath. You knock the roofs that are actually due.